We're going to start with this bucket that I got at the Dollar Tree this year. They have some really cute new things. I hadn't seen this before, and I'm going to use these transfers. I don't know what booklet they came in, but they are from IOD, and so I'm just going to run through this real quick. I separated them, and I had tried to put one over the gold and it wasn't going. I don't know what they used for a paint on the gold, but the transfer wouldn't apply to it. So I just put all three of them on the green part of the bucket. If you don't have transfers, you can always use a stencil or a Cricut design, whatever you want. And I have two embossing mediums. I was just trying to figure out if I wanted to use Tim Holtz Distress, not Distress, Texture Paste or Paint Couture's embossing medium. And I ended up going with Paint Couture's. I just really like their embossing medium. And if you don't have either one of those, you can always mix them. I think you use paint and baking soda. If you know the recipe, just share it on here. I haven't tried that before, but I know Brandy from the DIY Struggle shares her homemade texture paste. So I'm pretty sure it'd be easy to find. This stencil that I'm using, I got at Walmart last year, and I'm using just the roses, and that is it for this. I think it was such an easy DIY. All right, so this is the second part of our project today, and this burlap, I think I got it at Hobby Lobby. Another thing that's been in my stash, and I'm really trying hard to clean out my stash. And so I'm taking these skewer sticks that I get it from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to go in and out, right up the center of my burlap. And, it doesn't have to be perfect, just go in and out. There's no measurements that I'm going by. I'm just merely crafting and having a good time. And so my thought was maybe I can make a carrot out of this, but I wanted it to be different. I wanted it to be mine. I don't know if this is something that's ever been done. And if it has and I've seen it, I don't remember. This just came up in my mind. And so I'm going to try and pack this skewer stick as full as I can get it and just pushing back, trying to gather it up nice and tight. I'm pretty sure if you didn't have burlap that you could also make this like out of ribbon or drop cloth. You'd probably just need like a poker tool to like an awl to help make the hole. So at the end, I started going out towards the sides and then back up through the middle because I wanted to make it more narrow on the bottom. And so that's why I was doing that. And then just added a dollop of hot glue and then folded the piece of burlap over it and just held it in place for a minute. And then I cut the remaining burlap and then I'm going to weave it through again. And then off to the side a little bit and up through like that. And then I twisted it a little bit. So I want the bottom to look more narrow like a carrot would, right? Because a carrot is fat on the top and gets skinnier as you go down. And I added a dollop of glue to the bottom and then just held it there for a minute. I knew I wanted to bring in some florals, So I took this floral foam. I have a whole bunch that I got on Amazon. I'll probably have it until the end of my life because I have so much of it. And put the skewer stick right through the center and then started using my all tool and my hot gun. And we're going to put like this. It comes on a garland at Hobby Lobby and it's like this mossy style. It's so pretty. I It's got to be my favorite. It can be frustrating to work with though cuz it just like sticks to itself and it gets really tangly and stuff, but I love to use this for a lot of spring projects and so I just go around the whole thing, filling it with this mossy garland. But then it became like really difficult to work with because I was trying to fill it on the top too. And so you'll see here in a second, I end up just taking it off so it's just easier to work with. But I keep just going around, poking holes and putting my moss in it. And then, of course, because it's so tangly, I had the glue strings in the way as well. And oh goodness, it was trying my patience. And when I get anxious, I just can't breathe. So, not worth putting myself through it. So, I just keep going and filling it up as best as I can. And then I started taking some, not Spanish moss, is it? No, reindeer moss. There we go. And start filling in all the gaps just so it looks nice and full. Then I took my Spanish moss and brought some of that in. I just like adding like all the different mosses and I love the shades and it gives so much visual interest. And I see Karen at the loft work with her greenery, and she just does such amazing work that I get a lot of inspiration from her. So I just continue to fill this up, taking all the little pieces and set that aside, clean up my mess. I tell you, this little vacuum cleans up moss. It's amazing. So I got these rocks at the Dollar Tree and more of those styrofoam pieces, just adding some weight to this. And now I'm going to set this back on top of my carrot and of course using some hot glue and then poke that right into the center of my bucket. And now we're going to add some more reindeer moss and just fill it up. And so I've been using a lot of this grass that I got in like a sheet, like a floral sheet. And so I've been plucking them off and using them for a lot of my spring DIYs. And I bought this last year and used it last year, and I'm using it again this year. And they're just so fun to work with. And a little goes a long way, just one 12 by 12 sheet. And then I got these bunnies last year at Hobby Lobby. One of them had a broken ear, and so they gave it to me cheaper. And then I added more of that grass, set the bunny right in the middle, and I'm going to fill in a few more spots where I need some moss. And of course, take my embossing gun to get rid of all those glue strings that are just everywhere. And that's it. I love how this came out and it's super budget friendly. Just take one of Dollar Tree's little cans and maybe some burlap if you have some. You could even paint it and some greenery and you'll have yourself a cute little carrot. All right, with the other two carrots that I made, I'm taking this greenery. This also comes on a vine at Hobby Lobby, and I love to wait for their 40% off sales. It's like every other week you can get florals 40% off. So that is the time to get them. And so I just pulled a bunch of these off the garland. So I added some glue to the skewer stick and then pressed them right into the hot glue and just held them for a minute. This took me a minute to get them all gathered up and, just time and patience because the hot glue is really hot and you got to hold it there until the hot glue is cool enough to grab a hold of it. But of course, you're watching it sped up so it looks like I just put it together in no time. But that's the point, right? And so once I get them all gathered up, I take a zip tie and, just wrap it around and tie it off tight because I want to make sure these aren't going to come undone. Permanent glue, hot glue isn't permanent, right? So it just needs a little reinforcement. Then, of course, I got rid of all the nasty glue strings before adding in some Spanish moss. And I'm just tucking it under the greenery and right on top of that burlap and using a little bit of hot glue here and there um, to tack it down. And I want to fill this up pretty full. If you don't have Spanish moss, you could always use reindeer moss. I just thought it'd look really pretty, with that earthy look under the green grass. And so that's what I went with. And plus I have an abundance of Spanish moss. I have a whole nother bag of it. Then I took this ribbon I got at Hobby Lobby last Christmas and just made a messy bow, nothing overly fancy. And so I made two of those carrots and tied them together using some wire twine, added the bow on top, and that is it for these. I think they came out so pretty, and I hope that you like them too. For our next project, I found this yarn at the Dollar Tree and these bunnies they have every year. And we're going to make three bunnies. And so I started by wrapping this one in this really pretty soft green. And I want to do it so I don't have to cut any of the yarn off. So you could see I ran a piece of yarn to the top of the ear, and now I'm just wrapping downward, and I'm going to go all the way down the ear. I end up doing this two different ways, and I'll show you each way. So once I get to the base of the ear, I'm going to take some more of that hot glue and run my yarn up to the top of that ear and then just glue it. And now we can repeat the same steps, wrapping this ear all the way to the bottom. And this is where it gets a little bit tricky. So I added just a dite of hot glue between the ears and then ran it down to like almost like a shape of a triangle and did this until I was able to get it so it's going straight again. And it doesn't matter how you wrap these, they're gonna look super cute. I mean, you can't go wrong with this yarn. The last two times I've been to my Dollar Tree, there's been all kinds of new stuff, and the shelves have been a lot more full than they typically are. So I've been stopping in once a week just to see, and I was just so happy that they had this yarn. And I wrapped it all the way down. I did some gluing as I went, but I didn't get overly carried away with the glue. And then, so with the pink one, I'll just show you this one real quick. I started at the bottom and just wrapped, going real fast on this. And so when I got to the ears, you could see I did the same thing I did with a second ear. I glued my yarn going upward, and then we'll just wrap downward. This project is so fun and it takes no time to wrap these little bunnies. You could do this with your kids even. Um, I did have a few gaps in a few of my bunnies, and I don't think I showed on camera, but I just cut little pieces and just tucked them in with just a dite of glue because I didn't want, globs of glue. Then I took the color Buttercream, that's by Paint Couture, And I'm gonna offload my brush and paint these clay pots that I got at the Dollar Tree. I base painted them the color Mineral by Waverly and let them dry. And so I'm not dry brushing, but as I said, I'm offloading my brush and painting all over all three of my clay pots. This whitewash kind of gives it that vintage farmhouse feel. Let me know, are you still into farmhouse? I've been hearing a lot of creators ask if people are still into farmhouse because it's supposedly it's like out of style. I don't know how. Um, then I took this stencil and I got this on Amazon. I think they still have them. I got like a bundle of different stencils, and this is called Crust. It's by Paint Couture. It's almost like it reminds me of grout. It's very like gritty, almost like sand. And I'm just spot stenciling this here and there. I don't want this to have full coverage. I want it to look like, it's been sitting around and a lot of the detail has washed away with time. Then I took wooden beads of all sizes in the color Pumpkin by Debbie's DIY, so a little bit of that and some spritz of water. And that's how I'm painting these wooden beads, just mixing them up. And that's what's going to paint them. Really quick and easy, no mess at all. And I end up just pouring them out onto a plate, letting them dry. And I'm going to add them to these skewer sticks, starting with the smallest, working my way up to the largest. And these are going to resemble carrots. All right, once I have my beads on, we're going to add some styrofoam and this grass that I got at Hobby Lobby, and just stick the skewer right down through the grass. There's a hole there. And then we're going to glue our bunnies right to the top. I already added a little bit of greenery to the top of the carrot. I'm just going to fill that out a little bit. And that greenery at the bottom, I get at Hobby Lobby. It comes in like a 12 by 12 sheet. And as I said, you can pluck those off. I've been using that in a lot of my crafts this spring. I'm going to add some more of that greenery along the bottom. Just filling it out, gluing it with some hot glue. And I wanted to make sure I let my hot glue cool off a little bit. If I put it directly onto the styrofoam, it would melt. So I just took a quick second, held it there, let it get some air, and then I set that grass right in to my styrofoam. And I'm going to repeat that step for all three. And this is that 12 by 12 sheet I told you about that I get at Hobby Lobby. These just pluck right off there, and you can use these for a lot of projects. And then I just used some Tite Bond Quick and Thick and filled in the rest with some reindeer moss. I'm sorry for the noise. My husband just got home and the dogs just get so excited when they see him. But just repeat the same thing with the other two. And this is a real quick project. It takes no time to put these together, and they're just so super cute and festive. I wanted to add these tags, so I took some of my fabric. This is like a green plaid fabric and some drop cloth, and these stamps I got at Goodwill. Actually, all of it I got at Goodwill. And just stamped on the word spring and glued my drop cloth right onto my plaid fabric. Added a little bit of Tim Holtz Distress ink to the sides. Just age them up a little bit. And of course, you can skip this step if you want. And then I found this little ribbon at the Dollar Tree. It's got little carrots on it. I thought that'd be cute. So I just made a little awareness bow out of all three using this twine to tie it off in the center. This is a little bit fiddly to hold in my hands. It's just so tiny, and I'm trying to make the tiniest little bows. These come out looking real cute. And Hobby Lobby has miniature bows. If you can't, make little ones with your hands, you can always buy them. Hobby Lobby has them in all sorts of colors, and they even have burlap ones. And of course, Amazon, you can buy them in bulk there too. That's it for these little bows. They're real cute and simple. Just trim the edges down. And then I just glued them right to the top of my carrot, right along the bottom of my bunny there. And just like that. And then I added a little bit of Excelsior and then lifted up the reindeer moss a little bit and glued my little tags. And that is it for these. I think they came out so cute, and I hope that you like them too. I love the clay pots and all the greenery and the pop of color with the little bunnies and, of course, the little carrots. If you like this video, I would love to have you stick around. I have a lot of fun projects coming up. I just love crafting for spring, and Easter is one of my favorite times. And here's a quick recap of everything that I made today with you guys. Thank you for spending time with me today. Until the next one, bye.